there was an immediate need from parents. What are we doing? The school is closed. How do I balance doing my work and at the same time attending to my child's needs? Or even, okay, I'm not working either, but I'm exhausted. Like, I just cannot keep up with the rhythm of my child. How do I keep him or her busy? So today, our talk is gonna be in 3 parts. So first, we're gonna talk about routine. Second, about the prepare environment. And third, about activities that are gonna help us during this time. After each of those parts of the talk, we are going to open a couple questions because I don't want to go all the way and then you guys are like, I already forgot what I was going to ask about routine. So that's why we are going to have different sessions of questions. So let's start with routine. It is very important that you think of, okay, my child was used to a routine at school, and so right now we are maybe kind of improvising daily what to do, what do I offer, how do I keep my child entertained. What I suggest that it's a really good tool is, let's try to keep your child's routine as close as what the school routine was. And let's be clear here. I'm not meaning let's copy the classroom or let's have every single subject or activity my child had in the classroom. We are talking about the general steps of the routine. And I'm sure you all still have contact with the teachers of your children. So if you are not sure what the routine look like, just ask your teacher, sorry. And this is important that we know we are not trying to mirror school, but we are trying to adapt that routine to activities and to a routine that makes sense for home. Because we're not at school, and there are a lot of skills that our child can learn at home, and that these skills are gonna be also aiming to the same needs and principles and skills that the children need to develop for their academic development. So we are not going completely out. We are on the same page, but with activities and routine that makes sense at home. So I'm gonna give you an example. I was a teacher for over 17 years, and my last 7 years were in a Montessori classroom. So for example, my routine in my classroom would be, children would come to my classroom from 8 to 8:30. Then they have a 3-hour work period. During that 3 hours, they could have morning snack anytime they felt like. Then we would have some circle story time, get together. Then we would go to the playground, come back, have lunch. Then it would be nap time. And for children who didn't nap, it would be another part of work time. So we can follow this same structure for something at home. So let's say that exact same routine at home would look like, my child is gonna wake up around the same time, right? So then I'm gonna have the same routine as he or she wakes up, gets dressed, uses the bathroom, brushes his or her teeth, the same routine. Then I'm gonna have prepare activities that, of course, I'm gonna have breakfast with him or her just as if we were gonna go to school. And then we are going to have that morning work period. And in this, we are going to talk more specifically about some ideas of activities and the characteristics of these activities. But the idea is that your child doesn't need you there to do these activities, that he or she can go on his or her own and work for a couple hours, and while you also get to do your own work or just do whatever you need to do at home. And maybe you plan during that morning time, okay, we meet together for snack, and we have snack together, and then we go and continue with our things. And then we meet up for lunch, and then it's nap time. I know a lot of us experience that children nap a lot better at school than at home. So every single part of this routine needs to become a habit and needs to be reinforced, and we need to put the time on it until it becomes regular. And maybe in the beginning it's gonna take you guys 20 minutes sitting next to your child until your child falls asleep. But that's gonna give you 2-3 hours of uninterrupted work for those things that you really know you cannot be flexible in case your child needs you. And then your child wakes up, or if he or she didn't sleep, have other kind of activities prepared, and then it's like, okay, we both are done for the day. Let's see what we want to make for dinner. Now actually we are gonna hang out, talk, read a book, have our same night routine, and have uh and I don't mean minute by minute, like you stress out if this didn't happen by 6:30, but uh a set a set routine that even after that work time is done, you guys still know you do dinner and you continue reinforcing the bath time, the bedtime, and the routines that you have for these times. Something very important that I'm also gonna mention in the other two areas is we need to set expectations. So we need to prepare our child. We need to let them know, yes, right now I'm working from home because my work is closed. You are doing activities at home because your school is closed. We both have things that we can do, things we need to get done. So this is how we are gonna do it. And we, during the first few days, maybe we're gonna need to remind the child, what goes next, and reinforce and continue keeping the routine tight. And very soon it's gonna become very normal, and they're gonna just move through the routine easily. And this is also something very important. This gives the child order, and children thrive order, even when sometimes it sounds silly because children are so messy. We feel like, of course, like they don't thrive order, but they do. They like to know what to expect, what comes next. If I try to pass, to push that limit, oh no, the adult around me is gonna tell me, no, remember, this is the limit. And that is gonna tell them, I can trust you as adult because you say what you mean. You give me the routine and you actually follow through. So I'm safe here, and I know if I follow these steps, our day goes smoothly, and I know I can trust you because you actually do and reinforce what you tell me. Um, I think that would be it for routine. If you guys have questions, I will be open to answer them right now.
So I see one question that was just sent to me. So they're asking if they have a school-age child and preschooler, and they're spending more time with their school-age child to help with homeschooling, and the younger child is getting upset. So do you have any recommendations?
Absolutely. And let's think for both children. I know maybe children that are school age and they are receiving work from their teachers, and you need to help the child navigate, just the web. So, of course, they are going to need more time. And something very important before I answer the question, sometimes we feel we need to give both children the same amount of attention, the same amount of time. Let's think more that we need to give them the amount of attention that they need. So, first of all, yes, maybe one child needs a lot more help. So, it's normal, and don't feel guilty because you don't have the same amount of time with the other child. But something that is going to help a lot that is our next topic, is having a prepared environment for that other child, because that child also has the need for movement, the need for activity. She wants to do things. And if that child was able to do certain things independently, maybe he or she is gonna notice less this kind of um, lack of balance between time, because he or she is also gonna be busy, and also always be honest with your child. Oh yes, I need to help your sister, your brother to find this, to do this homework for his or her teacher, and then I'm going back to you. So first, one big part is the language. Let your child know, talk to him or to her, because they are capable to great understanding. Second, and we are going to talk about prepare the environment, an environment when they can be active, when they can do work independently, then they can also feel they are doing something, and they are not just waiting for mom or dad to give them something or to do
Mhm.
something with them. And of course, I'm sure once the older child gets a little bit more of the routine or learn how to manage certain tasks, also allow both children independency. Of course, at the level that they are ready for. And of course, if your child is really lost on how do I find this assignment, this was a subject or a topic that I didn't even get to see, of course, I need explanation. Of course, you're going to want to give it that support.
I see. Thank you. Can we take one more question before moving on?
Of course.
So, um, how do we adapt and create a consistent schedule if your child is moving from two naps to one nap? You know, they're used to two naps, but going down to one nap, and so it kind of is challenging. So, do you have any tips for that to set a routine? If you know,
Yes. And every change is going to be a challenge. Just like we are right now living a challenge, and the way we do work differently to how we were doing it a month ago.
Mhm.
Um, just these stepstones of children, they are challenges every time that we need to change the routine. And so the first thing is like, let's figure out what is our ideal routine. This is where we want to get. So for example, the routine that I described in the beginning, that was a one nap routine, So we want to get there. We know it's not going to be perfect in the beginning because the child is used to two naps. And so it's gonna be times when the child is a little tired or a little cranky, or I wanna lie down, and we just remind them, oh sure, right after we go outside, it's gonna be time to lie down. Oh yes, right after we finish lunch, it's gonna be time to lie down. Let's until that time, let's see what can we do. What would you like to work with? Oh look, I got you some bananas to chop. Let's get these bananas ready for lunch, maybe, or maybe for snack. But there is a lot of, oh sure, after blah we are gonna be ready for. And also as adults, be patient. Know that you are gonna be there. You're gonna get there. Stick with the routine and think of your ideal routine, the times, the steps that you know you wanna get there, and between times, make sure you have activities that interest your child so she can stay interested and find, continue developing and finding that interest. So very soon the routine is gonna get smoother. But and this is for any of you, every single change of routine is going to be challenging. So um, think of those moments that are, it's gonna be hard, it's gonna be awful times, but this is the routine that you want to get to, so work towards that one.
And do you recommend starting to establish a routine when you have more flexibility, say on the weekend, because working and then trying to establish a routine could be hard?
Yeah, and of course depends on each family's case. um of course, if during, because the thing is that sometimes during the weekends are different.
Right.
So like if you are gonna start during the weekend, make sure that you guys are gonna treat the weekend as if it was a weekday, so the child gets used to it. Um, Also, it's not gonna be a thing of a couple days. So plan ahead of time. If you know you are gonna need extra time at this time of the day, plan yourself to have that little extra time. Plan yourself to know, like to realize there are gonna be moments when your child is gonna be upset and there is nothing you can do. Like your job is not to calm him down. It's okay, calm down, stop crying. No, I know you are upset. I know you are tired. It's almost time. Right after lunch, we are gonna do something else first. And I just lost my thought. There was another thing that I was gonna mention about that. Oh, it's very important that all the adults at home or in the process, even later, teachers, grandparents, anybody that is part of this process, everybody's on the same page and everybody knows, okay, even through upsetness, I know you are, even if you're upset, the rules are the same. Even if I understand, I feel you. Like, of course, I'm respectful. I always love you. I'm always going to show you my love. But this is our routine. So we are going to wait until this time for blah. Um, but it's very important that all the adults are on the same page, because if not, the process is gonna take longer first, and second, the child is gonna be trying to look for that one that he or she knows is gonna get to the way he or she wants. So it's very important that she realizes no matter who I go to, then that person is going to reinforce the same routine, the same limits. And also, if we are on the same page, if I don't have the time right now, or just if I'm overwhelmed, sometimes is you can say, I just cannot take it right now, like physically, emotionally, so please help me. We are doing this. So the other person is going to follow the exact same routine, and that is going to ease the weight.
Got it. Thank you. Yeah, I think
So
we can move
is
on.
that for the questions for routine?
Yes.
Perfect. So the next point that I wanted to talk about is prepare environment. This is a very common term that we use in Montessori. This simply means have whatever environment your child is going to use organized and adequate in a way that your child can navigate this environment independently. So, and it has to be, your child is part of the house, you know? So even when it's not this time that your child has to be doing his or her school activities at home, this should apply at any time. So just think of little scenarios, like let's just as adults think of what would have been to sit down on the toilet without being able to rest our legs on the ground. Like, how will we feel? Like, you know, we would try, like, we would feel probably we are gonna fall inside of the toilet. Or what if you, as the adult of the house, would have to ask someone every time you want to use something, you want to reach something? What if you needed to ask someone for help every time you needed to brush your teeth? Just think of the very basic things. So what we want to offer the child is an environment that they can navigate on their own. And this can be very simple. Like, you guys don't really need to think of a lot of money invested or to completely change your home. But even things like having stools. I know you all probably have a stool for your child to be able to wash his or her hands independently or reach certain things, right? Um, Now that they're gonna be doing things at home, so let's think of having those materials available for the child, that the child can go and get them if they need to use them. But also talking about setting expectations, that you tell them exactly, for example, this puzzle. These are the places where you can take this puzzle. You can do it on this mat or on this table. This is how you would do this puzzle. You know, I'm gonna take everything out. This is how I put it back. And this is how I carry it back to its place. Many things seem so silly because for us, they are so obvious. There are things that we do every day, and we don't even realize we're doing that. Like, how in the world do you think that is okay? But the reality is they don't know. What is obvious for us is not obvious for them. So, speaking of environment, if we want them to use something the way we want them to use it, show them. Show them exactly how to use each part. Um, if they're like, oh, help me putting my shirt on. Oh, you can do it. Okay, maybe you can, but show them or tell them, you know, okay, first your head. Okay, I see your head is in. Now reach your arm. Sometimes they need a little just verbal help. Also, for the environment, going back to the environment, if, for example, let's think, if I want my child to be able to dress by him or herself, how are the clothes organized? Can the child reach them? Are there too many? Are there a lot of things that they don't use right now that I don't want them to wear, but they're still available? Are there too many small clothes that they're not gonna fit? So eliminate anything that you don't want to use or that they cannot use. Let's think of materials that are child size. So if I have an activity for my child to cut a banana, then I have the cutting board child size. I have a small plate that he can carry on his or her small hands. I have the proper knife that I feel comfortable him or her using. If I'm gonna have scissors, like the stripes of paper that I know they can cut, the size of scissors that they are gonna use. So every single thing, just think of what your child is gonna use. Can he or her carry that material on his or her own? Is it in a place that my child know where to use it, how to clean it up? And try to see the world through your child's eyes. Sometimes it's a good exercise even getting on your knees and thinking, okay, can he or she reach the pitcher for water? Because it may be very lower for us, but for them, can they reach it? Can they grab things? Can they put them up properly? Can they see what they need? The pencils are in a super big box that is my child gonna be able to use it properly. So whatever you are gonna have available for your child, whatever way you are gonna set your environment, so you have your space, your child has his or her space, even if it's the same space, but your space means you have your desk, your child has the little table. Let's think of, I wanna have things set in a way that my child can be successful, can use things, can put things on his own. And that way, my child can have the routine of doing things successfully. And also, I'm not going to be picking up a bunch of things that got out of control later. I think that's it for prepare environment. I'm sure sometimes the specific questions can tell you more than when I talk about this general. So let's go with the questions.
I don't see any questions yet.
Okay. I mean, we can either continue or give people a little time for questions. What do you think?
I think we can wait for a couple of minutes. So I have a question. So when you talk about prepare environment, you mentioned like little desk or something. So are there any other like household items that we can use instead of, purchasing something to set up the environment that you've seen that are useful for kids?
Yeah, let's think of children are really attracted to beautiful things, and also the things like, just think of keeping things, giving activities in a way that the child knows exactly what to use for that specific activity. So sometimes even just using lids of boxes, as a way of trade that your child knows if he or she wants to cut paper. Everything is on that little box, and that makes it easy to put things away. When, like, during the day, maybe when my child is gonna have access to snacks, to water, to maybe cutting some fruit, and something little like having a little bin that is on a corner of the kitchen where your child knows any little thing that is dirty is gonna go to that bin. So just think about your child being able to do anything just like you do, to have the tools to move around and do the things that you would do. If your child spills something, he or she knows that on this little basket, on this shelf, there are a few towels that he can go grab and dry the little water that was spilled.
Mm-hmm.
If I want my child to be able to do some watercolors, then have the little jar where he can put a little water to bring to the table with him or her. Just think of those little details. It doesn't have to be anything different to what you already have, but even observe your routine and think, take notes of the things your child always asks you for help. So
Mm-hmm.
just think of those things. My child always asks me for help to get the socks, to grab the jacket, to get some water, to get the snack. Anything that you know and you have experienced your child ask you for help, just think, how do I provide the tools for my child to do this without my help?
I
You
see.
know how, so let's think of, as an adult, I don't want to be, I don't want my support to have to be there 24/7, available to do anything or and everything with and for my child. I don't want that to be my task. I want my task to be, my responsibility should be prepare the environment in a way that my child can do all those things without needing me.
Mm-hmm.
So very easy. Think of, take note. My child always asks me for help for this, and this. How can I make changes so he has the tools to do that by himself?
Can we take one more question?
Yeah.
Do you have pictures of a home environment or school setting with activities, or do you recommend any website just to get an idea for parents?
And depending on the age, for example, I know, and I guess it's okay to mention companies here. Um, I know from 0 to 3, there is a company that is called Monty Kids, and they send pretty much a box for different stages and tell parents how to do things. There are other companies like there is one, and if you guys go to my page that is immersemontessori.com, I have listed some companies, like some furniture companies and some companies that have uh, kind of Montessori inspired activities for children at home.
Mm-hmm.
But also, I mean, let's think of our like, and those, yes, it's great sometimes if we go to those sites and we see some examples, then that can give me ideas. But also think of, in these days, maybe even the shipping of things can take a long time. So think of making your child part of the home. I recently heard my trainer saying, make sure your child is not a guest in your house. They want to be part, and this is the age that they want to be part. Later, maybe they're not going to want to do things, but right now they do. So even things like showing your child how to make the bed, how to put their dirty clothes in the washing machine, how to fold them and put them in the drawers. what they can do to contribute to dinner, setting the table. uh, what activities I can do for my child to continue developing those fine movements or the counting. And they don't have to be things that I buy. They can be things that I do. I recently started, just very recently, with I started a YouTube channel just showing very basic activities that you can do with children at home, and what is the purpose and how you can do it with things that you have at home. So so for sure, check ideas, but also think of what is needed in your house. What is the interest of your child? Even water the plants, uh, cleaning the leaves of the plants. Show your child the brown leaves, how to turn them. Um, so things that make sense at your home too. And of course, if you want some ideas, check. I don't remember all the sites right now, but in my page, immersemontessori.com, you can find some ideas of resources.
Thank you. I think we can move on to the next topic.
Perfect. So this one is really about activities. And I've seen, and I'm sure we all can remember a time where we bought this set of pencil colors, markers, or we saw this little material that looks so cute, and we got it for our child, and it really went the wrong way. And then we cannot keep it clean, we cannot keep them to do it properly or to take it back to its place. Something important, and I already mentioned about activities, we're going to show them every single step, no matter how um, simple or obvious it seems to us. And we are going to think of the way we set these activities. I'm going to show you guys some examples that you guys, I'm sure, are gonna relate with. Sorry. I'm sure you guys, maybe at your house, have something like this. A box full of markers for your children. You want a color? Color. Here are all these markers. And then I'm sure they maybe just grab it and dump it on the table, or then you are trying to rescue lids because they are all without lids or dry or just all over the place. The way we should have that exact same material set to start. Let's think of children 2.5, 3. Let's start with a little jar with the 3 primary colors. Then there are actually only 3. You can show them how to open it, how to put the lid back on. It's a lot easier for you if you realize one of them doesn't have the lid. You say, oh, remember we close it so the ink doesn't dry. And then for your child, it's a lot easier to put these 3 back in and return it to the shelf. I'm sure when your children is older, you are gonna get to include a few more colors, but let's start with this. And let's take advantage of talking about the colors, the names of the colors, what things that have those colors. It's a great opportunity for language. So in many, many cases, fewer things are more and bring a lot more opportunities to really discuss and talk about the characteristics of these things. Also, just talking in general about the amount of material. If you have, let's think of having during the day, just, for example, 3 pieces of paper. So your child knows, oh, I already colored on all 3. Okay, tomorrow you're gonna have more. Now you can look for something else. It is very good practice for them to realize there is a limit for things, because there are a lot of limits that we are trying to teach them that are very abstract. You know, the listening to us, the following rules, the very deep abstract things. But when with something so tangible, we can show them there is a limit, like we go just as far as today we have materials, then they start practicing that understanding to have limits. Same goes with items like paints. I'm sure you guys have maybe a full box of paints. Again, start just with a couple colors and have little containers or a little palette and just one paintbrush. And same, use all these little jars. Just one jar when they can bring some water to keep washing their paintbrush, and practice with them. You know, I open it and I'm gonna squeeze 2 drops. Again, it is much easier to teach them these skills and to be able to follow through when you just have a couple of colors. And then, oh, you use all of that. Then now you can squeeze a couple more. And of course, when we want to show them how to clean up, how to wash the palette, we have a lot fewer items to show them. And for them, it's a lot more doable when they just have to deal with a couple things, that when all of a sudden, it's very easy for them to take out a lot of things. And when I say clean up, they don't know where to start from. When the amount of materials is limited and I have shown them every step, and yes, they're gonna need reminders of if they skip a step, or maybe today it wasn't as beautifully washed, and that's okay, because the same, you just have few things, so for you it's easy to just tie it up by the end of the day and allow your child to keep practicing. But it's much more doable than if you have the entire set. And one more thing, speaking of limits, sometimes just making little table protectors. This is just a filing folder with painting tape. For example, for your child to do collage, you know, to do painting. This is a good way to show them this is your workspace. On top of this place is where you are gonna paste. So when they have a limited space for painting, pasting, doing food prep, squeezing a sponge, whatever it is, there is of course lesser opportunity to just find items all over the place, because you have shown them this is where I do this work. So if you are moving with that, that means you are done. So then we can clean it up and do the next thing. And it's a great practice for them to, you are done with this one. Oh, but then sometimes they leave it on the table and move on and grab something else. Oh, I see your work, I see your painting is still on the table. Oh yes, but I want to cut. Oh, that is a great idea. Right after you clean up your painting, you can cut, and that way you are going to have space, because right now you don't have space, because that is the space where you do this work. One more that I have here. This is glue. Usually we just have the big bottle, right, available for our children. Same, Let's create those opportunities when they have to be super careful to use a paintbrush. They are actually practicing how to hold a pencil. They're actually moving their hand, getting it prepared for writing. So it's not just painting, pasting, and squeezing super hard the tube. And same, they are learning how to open, close. We give them a lot more opportunity to be intentional and to follow a process. And think of, I know these days, a lot of us are concerned about the academics. But for example, let's think of what is math at the end of the day, if not a series of systematic steps you have to follow to be successful in your result. And this is what your child is doing with every single of these materials, following a process step by step until they are successful, they wrap it up, and eventually they master these processes. So we are still giving them those skills. Um, any questions?
Not yet. Are there any activities that you would recommend if you, uh, want them to be on their own, and if your child is like, not persistent, or moves from one activity or gets bored easily and just
Mm-mm.
wants to move on, so in that case, like, do you let them move on to something else, or how do you handle that?
Um, of course, everything. I mean, we don't want to force the child to do an activity. The idea is to have a few activities that they have things to choose, you know. Um, Sometimes, for example, what happens to me sometimes if they are just on the shelf, like touching things, then I said, oh, you want to do it? You can take it to the table. Oh, no, I don't want to do it. Okay, then, or either you grab it or you don't grab it, but we don't touch it all over the place on the shelf. If you want to do it, you take it on the table. Also, yes, maybe for some children that still don't have that focus and concentration, and we want to have some activities that maybe they are shorter and they can clean up successfully, you know. So for example, and you can again go to my site and I have a video for that one, like tearing paper for young ones, you know. It's very interesting, and even if they want to tear just a little square and move on, okay, it's fine, you can find something else, but clean it up. So the important thing is to always follow whatever process that we want to reinforce on them. That would be, you do it, you take it here and you do it, and then we put it back. We are gonna be the ones showing them how to do things, you know. So sometimes I would say like, oh, let me show you something. I'm gonna show you some new activity that I got. Um, and sometimes they are resistant, you know, because also at this age they have found the power to say no, I don't want to do it, or I don't. And sometimes it's okay if you said, yeah, that's fine, you don't have to do it right now, but I'm gonna show it. I wanted to show it to you right now, so come to me, I'm gonna show it to you, and later whenever you want you can do it. And many times when we don't go into the trying to convince it, oh, but why don't you like it if it's so beautiful? If it's like, oh, you don't want to, no, you don't have to do it right now, but I'm going to show it to you right now because I have the time to show it to you right now. I want to have it out. If I don't show it to you first, then you cannot use it later if you want. So let's sit down for a little bit. I'm going to show you and then you can decide. And more times than others, they decide to actually try it because they sometimes just say no for saying no. But they, if they find the interest for the activity, they would do it. And sometimes when I say beautiful things, it doesn't have to be something that you buy that comes beautifully, but even for cutting paper, to have strips that are different colors, or any little thing that you know interests them, or for pasting, if you include a few of dry leaves that you found outside, then they may be more interested to paste it.
And so we got a few questions.
Okay.
How to encourage series of activities if you cannot keep a close watch? If you have a long conference call, that you cannot really pay attention to your child.
So the success of this is to know I'm gonna have to dedicate a little time showing my child how to do it. And of course, I can choose that time. If I'm gonna introduce a new activity, I'm gonna do it, or a couple of new activities, because maybe you watch some videos and you are excited and you prepare these 3 new activities. And then you want to show them to your child, so you either choose a day that you have very light at work, or you do the weekend, so they are that right there. You can show them and you can see them practice, and then you feel comfortable that they can use them when you cannot watch them. Another thing, because I know even when you show them, that is not going to be perfect. That's why it's very important to have limited amount of material, because I'm gonna give them access of as much material as I'm okay getting a little out of control and having to come and redirect to clean up, even if it's later. And sometimes we see that they are doing things not exactly how they show them, but even we decide, okay, I'm gonna observe how that develops. Or I cannot do it right now. I'm with the baby, feeding the baby, and I just cannot go. For example, if you have 2 bowls, one with beans, and you have a spoon, and you want to show your child how to spoon beans from one side to the other, and then you are feeding the baby, or you are in that conference call, and you see your child is putting all the beans inside of the plants or inside of the little guitar. And at that point, it is okay. Like, nothing is going to happen. Nobody's unsafe. You can go back later when you have time and redirect, and ask, oh, what happened with the beans? I guess I'm going to have to put this material away until I have more beans, because right now I don't have more beans, so it is not available right now. And so with, especially for these days when you're going to have a busy day or something, just have out activities that you feel comfortable your child using, that he has already had the presentation from you. And also activities that, okay, even if he drop a little of this, or if he pour all this glue on the table, there was not a big deal, and we can redirect later. So just give them as much as you feel okay picking up later, or redirecting him to pick up later.
Okay, so you were saying we should prepare them in advance, like show them how to do it and then give them that task.
Yeah, so pretty much prepare the environment so they have everything they need, but not excessive amount of material. That way they can navigate.
Got it. And so how do we, even after like preparing the environment and giving them stuff, if your child wants you to get involved in the play, or they want, they keep saying, watch me mommy or watch me daddy, how do you handle that?
And same, everything is a conversation and a preparation. If you have the established routine when they know, and they don't know exact times, but they know, okay, after breakfast, I have to go to a call. And then I'm coming back for lunch, and then at that time, you can show me what you have done. Or even some more flexible environments when your child can be sitting next to you doing their thing, and but it is important that they realize right now i I cannot be interrupted. It's really important. But you need to prepare them for it. And again, if you feel it's gonna need more practice than um, than they require, than you expect, do it at a weekend, do it at a time of the day that you don't have a call, but just practice. Oh, I have a very important call right now, so you can do your work. When I'm done, I'm gonna come and tell you I am done. Please don't come in the office until I come and tell you I am done. And practice. Let's practice. And of course, if there is someone in the house that is maybe not as busy as that time of the day, that doesn't mean that adult is going to sit with the child to keep the child from that conference, but it's just leave the child. Like, even if, let's say, for example, if I'm right now here with you guys on a video session, and my husband work is editing things, so if he is editing, maybe if you are on a live call and maybe your husband's or your wife's work is more, of course it's still involving, it's still important, but he is doing it on his or her own. He's not interacting with someone right now. So same, the child is working on his or her own. We don't want to say that means the other adult is with the child. So the child is working, and then the parent maybe on the computer see the child working towards the room. And as simple, oh, remember your mom is on a call. So we are gonna wait until she says, I'm done. And then as simple as that can be. Um, and let's believe and trust on the children. We need to prepare them. We need to let them know and reinforce and give them the tools. And even if we need to create, a little sign on the table, a little red circle means I'm not available, a little green circle means you may knock if you want to tell me something, little tools like that. But they're capable to understand and to respect those limits from you.
Got it. And do you have any recommendations for activities for young toddlers?
Yes. So, for example, would this be like year and a half, 2 years? Like, let's think of does someone have a specific age
Yeah,
that
yeah. 2 years.
2 years? So let's think of they love to paint, they love to color, so those are great. Having things to, for example, water the plants. uh, Children love to do food stuff, so if you find a little hand squeezer, for example, and you just set on a little tray or a little box the squeezer and an already cut in half orange and a little cup, and then the child knows they can go and they can squeeze their orange. Same for example, cutting the apple, but same, think of a half apple or a small size so they can push through. uh, Chopping bananas, same, the little cutting board and the knife for them to do so. Sorry. And and of course, you are gonna see, I've been saying it, and you are also gonna see it in my videos, how I show things on a table, preset activities on a tray. It doesn't have to be always on a tray. Think of what makes sense to you. Like if you have a little drawer on your kitchen that is low, and you know in there you are going to have the cutting board and the knife and the little plates and whatever your child uses, and then when he or she needs it, he or she knows where to grab them, you know. um, Something that uh, toddlers also love, for example, having small, those round stickers that are the little color ball stickers, or any kind of stickers, sometimes on just little pieces of paper, they can just glue stickers around. But the same, you are going to want to have a little piece of stickers, a little sheet of stickers, and a little piece of paper, and then they can practice gluing it.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So, yeah.
We are out of time, but can we take a couple of more questions?
Yes, yes. And please also feel free, you guys, to email me with anything you need, please. Because I know this is like, I'm just squeezing so much information in here.
Yeah. So, if you're, if your child is struggling with lots of big emotions, when they're asked to, clean up or any kind of transition, how do you deal with that if they're having hard time going through different transitions or big emotions, or, just dealing with disappointments, even not seeing their friends or grandparents or missing their birthday party, things like that?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Um, I mean, the main thing is to always be very open and honest to sharing the information and letting them know, yes, you know what? I also wish I could visit grandma because I miss her so much, but right now we need to follow these rules. This is for this specific situation. If the struggle is in general, they just are having a hard time following rules, then same, let's revisit our routine, let's revisit our challenges. So, for example, it has been a big challenge, and cleaning up the toys is been a big challenge. So, we need to think of the strategies of how to deal with that. And sometimes, let's think, sometimes we are looking for, we see the issue at specific times of the day, and we think something like, okay, we are having issues at sleep time or at eating time. But sometimes, very often, we need to back up and see the child as a whole and see what are the behaviors that could smooth that, well, with the activities or the changes that could smooth up that behavior and get it to a more calm place. So, for example, sometimes we may realize our child is super quick on their movements, on doing everything, and is always running. And so sometimes even just slowing down, doing things way slower than they need to do. Um, if it's been really difficult, the cleaning up, start by revisiting our environment. Do we have too many things? Do we have puzzles that have broken pieces? Do we have toys that they haven't used in months? So let's take away anything that you feel it's extra, because that it's not allowing us to be successful. And you guys need to come together as adults and agree, okay, these are the behaviors that we are not willing to accept. And even when they are mad, when they are sad, these are the rules that we want to implement. This is the routine that we are going to follow. And then we start working it together. And actually, when children start getting the same feedback consistently, and they think we are actually expecting this specific behavior from them, then they start moving within those limits. So it is important, something that we Montessori always said, freedom within limits. We want them to do whatever they want and make them happy, and any activity they enjoy, as long as they are within those limits of what is acceptable and what the rules for our house is. And of course, this is very general. Like if I had a very specific situation, I could give you a better idea, but it's pretty much rules, limits, routine, and how as adults, what are the responses that we all are gonna get. And something that is super, super hard, stay calm.
Mm-hmm.
Once they see that they got you out of yourself, that they got a reaction, then they know that that is the button they can push. But if they see, even if they are screaming on the ground, you are sitting and relaxed, then they realize, okay, so she actually means if I need help, I walk to her and I ask her, can you help me with,
Mm-hmm.
instead of crying.
Got it. And then before we go, one last question. How do we keep the child excited about a new activity? Their 3-year-old quickly learned that she's misbehaving and being super distracting during the conference calls. So the mom has to give her like iPad, and she was not as much dependent on devices before, but
Mhm.
now it's like 1 or 2 hours every day, and during the meetings the mom has to give her any kind of like device.
Yeah. And of course, I mean, that is understandable, I'm sure these days, even for communication, to get to talk to other family members, like that is the way we are doing it. But of course, as mom realizes, the daughter says, okay, if I interrupt, then I get the iPad. So, and I'm not saying the iPad is evil, because if if you as parent want to have some rules of certain time using the screen, of course that is something that you work out with what works in your family, but the reason shouldn't be so you are not interrupting me. So for example, something about new activities, something that is really good is I'm not gonna be changing everything like every certain time, but maybe I'm switching. So I have my set environment, and this week I'm going to introduce this um, food coloring activity, when I'm gonna have a little dropper for my child to put color in different glasses of water and see the different colors and mix it, like any kind of activity that you. So what you're gonna do is you are gonna take one of your other activities, maybe the one that you have seen, my child is not that interested in that one right now, so I'm gonna switch just that one. So whenever you switch things, give it a time for them to use activities, and then when you introduce something new, switch it. for something that maybe you see they have practiced enough, or they haven't really been using that one. So maybe now they are interested in this. I'm going to think of setting an activity that pointed to that. And something that I always tell parents, you talk to your child and be sure that he can understand you. Don't doubt it. Your child, even when he or she is 3, 4, they can understand your words. So just like you would talk to your mother, to your partner, you talk the same way with your children. Be very assertive with your tone. Let them know this is very important, these are your expectations, and that is going to happen. And of course, if you still want to, or you think now that everybody's at home, maybe screen time, you are still okay giving some of that. Let's make that one meaningful, you know? Sure, you have some activities to do. When I'm done, maybe we can watch something together. Maybe we can call grandma. Um, but if you don't let me work, I'm gonna stay here for a long time. We are not gonna get time together, because the more time you interrupt me, the longer this meeting is gonna take. Um, but be assertive with your words and be clear and be firm. That doesn't mean you're gonna be mean to your child, but let them know. Let them know very seriously and very precisely what you expect from them, and how their help is very important for you to be able to be done with your work.
Okay, great. Well, this was really informational. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you, everybody. And of course, same, like, just go to my site and email me if you have any other questions, and any feedback that you have. And even, I don't know, you let me know if maybe at some point parents find it helpful to get like a little document with some specific points that they can keep. I'll be happy to do that if you have a way to get it to them. So anything that you guys need from me, I really feel this is a time where we need to stick together, we need to support each other, and we just need to go with the flow and show our children we are still happy, we are still ourselves, we still are gonna follow through whatever we say, even when the times are different. And we understand their feelings, and yes, we are not happy about that too either, but we are making it work, and we are gonna do everything to support them and to make them happy and supported during this time. So yeah.
Great, thank you. So thanks for joining, everybody. I'm going to share the recording tomorrow. I'll also share Alejandra's email and her website. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to her or to Inceptive. And we are also hosting other events, free events, in the coming weeks. And if there is more requests to host sessions with Alejandra, let us know. We'll schedule them. On this Thursday, if you have any school-aged kids, we have two children's mental health expert and an educational consultant joining us this Thursday night at 7:30. Next week, we have a chat with the Institute for Families and Nannies on how to work out, this whole shelter in place and getting help from nannies, maybe doing virtual play dates with them. And we have another session with Symbio, the children's mental health expert, and a breastfeeding support group with a registered lactation consultant. So please check them out on our website, inceptive.org/coronavirus, and stay safe. Thank you.
Thank you for doing all this work.
Thank you. Thanks so much for your time.
Of
Good night,
course.
everybody.
Good night, everybody.